Welcome, Bree, to Eshe Music TV.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much. I'm excited to be here.
thank you so much for being on. I wanted to bring you on to talk about income streams for Christian artists. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am a music business and productivity coach, and I help musicians learn to make money from their music, whether they're like full-time or they're part-time and want to be full-time, or, maybe you're just a hobbyist, but you want to be able to finance all your music passion projects. I don't want you to have to dip into your bank account. So I love to help musicians learn how to make money from music, how to be more productive, get a lot more done, not to feel overwhelmed by all the things that they need to do as musicians and people that own a business. And bottom line, to understand that as a musician, you are an entrepreneur. So you do need to learn how to run yourself as a business.
Fantastic. I know recently you did an online summit called the Profitable Musician Summit, where you talked about 39 different income streams for artists.
Yeah, it was crazy. So my goal with it was to find as many income streams that I could come up with, many of which I think musicians hadn't thought of, to try to just provide ways that musicians can make money from music that they hadn't thought of, they hadn't tried, or giving them lots of tactics on how to do better in the ones that they're working in right now. Because I want musicians to be able to really pursue their passion and not to be stressed out about money, and not to have to get stuck in that starving artist mindset, but really feel like they could eventually do this as a living if that's what they want to do.
That's fantastic. I always like to say, being a starving artist may be romantic, but it's not practical.
No, definitely not.
So I wanted you to maybe go through some of the ones that aren't as obvious. I went through the summit and I picked out some that I thought maybe we could talk about,
Sure.
like the keynote concert.
Yeah, I love keynote concerts. So that was talked about by my friend Tiamo, and he does keynote concerts for a lot of corporate events and like fundraisers and things, nonprofits, big companies. But I actually like to think of it more like a signature concert, especially for Christian artists, because it's a signature because it kind of weaves in your story or your signature style, your signature life experience and testimony in with your music. And that is really where I hit my stride as an artist when I was a touring artist, is that I had a signature concert like that. And people really identified with my story, and then in turn identified with my songs, and that made them want to buy my music. And then, it was just kind of this packaged program that helped me actually promote it, because it was, instead of like, oh, I would love to come sing and perform at your church or your event, it was, here's this program that you can present to your audience. And it just makes it so much easier to talk about. Instead of talking about yourself and trying to sell yourself as an artist, you're selling this program and this experience.
Okay. What about house concerts?
House concerts are almost like an extension of that, what I was just talking about, the keynote concert, except it's a smaller experience. You're in someone's home. You are, you don't have to stress out about your sound system. You could even just be you and your guitar or you and your keyboard. You might not even need to have mics or anything, but it allows you to have such a close, almost a back and forth conversation with your audience when they're right in front of you in someone's living room. And you're able to get feedback from them. You're able to talk to them before and after and really get to know them as your fans, and, become friends with them. And it's just really great for actually making money as an artist, because when people are that close to you and you give them this special experience, they're going to want to give. And I always, take donations at house concerts and allow people to give, the way that they're led to give. And sometimes, that can be from like $20 to $100 sometimes from an individual person, just because they were so moved by what you had to say and what you had in your music.
You can really bond with your audience in a house concert. I like that
Yes.
idea. So, okay, what about concert window? What's that?
So concert window is a way to do concerts completely online. So it's a little bit, many of you I'm sure are familiar with Facebook Live, and it's a little bit different from that in that it's on a separate platform and you can invite people to it. They can actually pay to attend. So you could have, ticket prices for people to go. You can have like, you could do a free concert, but then like take donations during the concert. And it's an environment where people are coming to a concert. They're not distracted by all the things on Facebook. And I know many artists, especially, in fact, we had Jennifer Knapp, which some of you guys may be familiar with, Christian artist from the late 90s, early 2000s. She's still performing, and she does a monthly concert window. And so she talked on the summit about how she uses that as part of her base income as an artist to make sure that she, is able to pay her bills every month and stuff, just because she's got this concert window. It's almost like a residency online in a way.
Okay, that's interesting. And let's see, songwriting. I know this one is pretty, it's normal, right? It's something it's probably one of the first things that artists think about. The reason I put this on here is because I hear songs from artists where the song is really good, but they want to sing it, and sometimes sometimes when you're listening to it and you're realizing this is a great song, but the person who's singing it probably shouldn't be the one to sing it because, for whatever reason, their vocals just kind of take away from the song. Whereas to be a songwriter, to write your story, to write your testimony, and then have it out there for others to sing might take the song further. Are you a Christian artist who has recorded at least a single, but not sure where to go from here? Are you looking for performance opportunities, but not sure where to start? Hi, I'm Simone Henry, the founder of Eshe Music, and I've set aside time in my schedule to speak specifically to your needs. Schedule a call with me now at eshemusic.com/MMA. That's ECHE music.com/MMA. I'm looking forward to talking with you. And let's see, songwriting. I know this one is pretty, it's normal, right? It's something it's probably one of the first things that artists think about. The reason I put this on here is because I hear songs from artists where the song is really good, but they want to sing it, and sometimes sometimes when you're listening to it and you're realizing this is a great song, but the person who's singing it probably shouldn't be the one to sing it because, for whatever reason, their vocals just kind of take away from the song. Whereas to be a songwriter, to write your story, to write your testimony, and then have it out there for others to sing might take the song further.
So as far as getting your song sung by other artists, that's a really difficult thing to do. You really have to have connections to get your songs in front of other artists. And you probably need to get a song pitcher, song plugger, or something to do that. But what is a little more accessible, I think, to Christian artists is to get into music licensing. And that's where you can get your songs into film and TV. And the reason I think, there's not a lot of specific licensing opportunities for Christian music, but I do think that there are a lot of opportunities for positive focused music, message music, that kind of thing for licensing, especially maybe like ads, the places where they want to have just like a fun, positive, uplifting message. And that's something that, we're pretty good at writing as Christian artists. And so I think that's an open door to look into for some kind of passive income. It does take a while to build up your contacts and your income streams in music licensing, but it is something that can be done. I know many people who are doing it.
Okay. All right. So what about, we spoke before about corporate gigs.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of goes hand in hand with keynote concerts, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Like, I did do some corporate gigs, and especially some gigs for nonprofits, their big events and things. That was my signature concert, and that just works really well for those kinds of events because they're looking for something inspirational.
Okay. So what are air gigs?
So air gigs is a place where you can get gigs or basically doing demos for people online, whether it's backups or whether it's recording a vocal for somebody that's already written a song. You can do, I'm sure they have other ones for, instrumentalists and stuff, but of course I'm a vocalist. So I've gotten gigs on air gigs doing demos for people, and many artists I've worked with have done that as well. And it's just a great way to make, side income from home. If you have a home studio, which nowadays is so cheap to set up a really good sounding home studio, and, that kind of can make up your income base. Because I always love to talk about the streams of income that kind of make up all these pieces of a pie. Mm-hmm. And when I was a touring artist, that was one of the pieces of my pie, was recording demos for songwriters and other people, from home.
Oh, so you mean I can do some background vocals without ever meeting the artist face to face?
That's right. Absolutely, you can.
Awesome. Okay. And what about busking and online busking?
So busking obviously is just, street performing. And I think nowadays, like, street performing has become a little bit more high profile, and you can really hear some fantastic artists out on the street, and they can actually make some really good income. But there's a way you can do busking online, believe it or not. It's called Street Jelly. And I had the owner of Street Jelly come and talk on our summit and talk about how artists use it. And basically people buy tokens, and they go and they hang out and watch you perform for a while, and then they pay you in tokens, and then you can cash those out into your PayPal account. So it's just cool. A really fun way to get practice, meet potential fans. The artist that I had on that talked about Street Jelly has made a lot of fans and friends through Street Jelly that then came and followed her on Facebook and got on her email list and stuff. So it's another great way to meet potential fans.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, okay. So it sounds to me like being a Christian or gospel artist doesn't really limit the income streams that you can have.
I don't think so. In fact, I think we have more because we have the opportunity to approach churches. I mean, churches uniquely have a lot of events, right? And I feel like when I'm talking to a secular artist, there's this whole area that's not opened up to them because they can't really play at women's events at churches, women's retreats. I personally played at tons of mothers of preschoolers groups and women's retreats and women's holiday events and teas and things like that are at churches that you can't do if you're not a Christian artist, right? So I feel like we have a lot more options open to us. And yeah, we could play in bars, but we don't really want to. And nowadays, secular artists don't want to either because nobody's listening
right.
to you when you're playing in a bar. It's much better to play at a house concert or a keynote concert. And so I feel like there's more opportunities for Christian artists, and just a good reason not to do the things like performing in bars and restaurants that aren't even going to help you as a music career anyway.
Right.
So stick to the things that are really going to build your fans. You're going to find your fans at churches. There's no reason you shouldn't be performing at churches, but think.
So the last thing I wanted to ask you was to just tell my viewers how they can reach out to you and get access to your service and what you do.
Absolutely. So if you are interested in learning more about how to run your music as a business, how to be more productive, how to conquer things like, confidence issues and mindset blocks and things like that of making money from music, you definitely want to check out my podcast, which is the Female Entrepreneur Musician. You can get it on all the different podcast channels, as well as at our website, which is femmusician.com. That's F as in female, E as in entrepreneur, musician.com. And there's a ton of great resources on that site, a free 19 sources of income guide for musicians, some SMART goals workbook to help you really become more productive. And then if you're interested in like a little bit more like one-on-one help from me, then you can join my membership program called the Female Musician Academy, which I just absolutely love working with female artists in there. So that's also on that website. So go to femmusician.com and you'll find all the stuff that you need to hang out with me and learn more from what I've got to offer.
Okay, fantastic. So it sounds like you work only with women in your membership, but the podcast and other resources are open for everybody. Is that right?
Absolutely. That's why I said to go to the website, because there are many men that are on my email list. They're like, is it okay that I'm learning from you? Absolutely. I just want to provide a special platform to women and to help them specifically, because I do think that there are certain things that we struggle with as women that men don't. You know, a lot of us are moms. We're trying to juggle our family and our career and things like that. So that's why I provide that. But absolutely, you're all welcome to come learn from my podcasts, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have along the way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bree. I really appreciate you
welcome.
joining us. Alrighty.